What's happening out there, guys? And apologies for the delay. I'll blame my mammy for it because it is Mother's Day on Sunday, guys. Just a reminder for you out there, guys. If you haven't yet gotten prepared for Mother's Day, you only got 2 more days to do it. And I got caught in some traffic on the way home from shopping there. Just make sure my audio is coming through alright for you there. It's just coming up right again. I'm not too sure what the crack is, but hopefully I'm not too loud for you out there anyway, guys. We'll drive on with it. So yeah, guys, make sure you look after your mothers this Mother's Day. They've looked after us to get us to where we are today. So I know I've my mother to thank for an awful lot, and myself for a lot more. So yeah, guys, hope everybody's good. Welcome along to another edition of 420 News. It's Friday, high day, guys. And yeah, I got my old bong packed up here and going to blaze one in a couple of seconds. Again, guys, apologies for being late. Echo on the audio. Okay, nice one there for that. Your mic is doubling, I think. Boom, nice one. Oh yeah, I see that there actually. Let's see if, yeah, I think that sorted it out there now. Yeah, my bad for that one, guys. I think I've sorted out the issue there. Thanks very much, everybody, for your continued interaction there with the show, because I wouldn't have known that echo was happening there. That was my bad. Was preparing some of the scenes there earlier and had to rejig my microphone, so I must have rejigged it incorrectly. Again, I'm fucking not a technical wizard here at all, just winging this stuff, man, and it is what it is, guys. Hopefully you're all nice and blazed out there anyway, guys. Hopefully you're not too blazed, and hopefully people haven't fallen into the old 420 nap. I'm going to spark one up and we'll get stuck into today's 420 news for you guys. So that's the going out all you out there, guys. Your little online civil disobedience protest, as is the tradition on 420 News. I think we got a little bit more of a hit in there. Lovely. So, guys, it's Friday, and I know I opened up on Wednesday's show with this headline, but I'm opening up with it again today because Frank Fionn, he's come out from under his rock yet again, and this time it isn't for this reason to come out and say drugs and bad, I'm gay. No, it's not. It's to come out and play fucking parish politics again, because this was a part of his tweet earlier on this afternoon. Came out there about 12 o'clock or thereabouts. And again, look, 48 million for 2 urban regeneration projects in Sligo town. I believe last week he was tweeting about another couple of million given to some local swimming pools or something like that. So again, parish politics, it seems very much, he should be the minister for parish politics, it seems. He shouldn't be the minister for drugs at all. But I took it upon myself, as the fact checkers out there didn't, and I corrected his tweet or his photo to go along with the tweet, and this was the improved version of it. Frank Fionn is a benefactor of the war on drugs. Yeah, Frank benefits off it because he gets the drugs minister role, and that comes with a nice little bump in his pay, being a minister. But what does he do with that role? He doesn't do anything at all, because under Frank's watch, as it says here, kids are being shot and dismembered for drugs, while I, as drug minister, play parish politics and tweet about bingo, while I ignore the drug using community who are offering me advice, as I know nothing about drugs or drug policy. But the pay is great. And down below then as well, Fine Gael supports criminal gangs like the Kinahans and Hutches. And just to follow up on how they support them, well, they support them with their policies. Drug prohibition, the Misuse of Drugs Act, is basically a golden goose egg that we've just gifted to those criminal gangs out there who generate so much bloody money. So he talks about 48 million for 2 urban projects, but every day he sits there as a drugs minister and does nothing about prohibition of drugs. He's giving a multi-billion euro industry to criminals who do untold harm in our communities, as the the post points out, kids being shot and dismembered. And when I say a kid being dismembered, like I'm not joking, I'm not exaggerating in that. That's in relation to the feud that was going on up in Drogheda, above in Drogheda there not too long ago. There was a young fella, and Cian Mulready, I think Cian Woods Mulready or something like that was his name, may he rest in peace, but he was chopped up and dismembered, and a lot of that has to do with the feuding around the I don't know, the turf, I suppose, the sell these type products, cocaine mainly, from what I've been told. Now, I don't live in Drogheda, but what I've been told from people living up there, it's all fueled by cocaine. And again, it's fueled by cocaine, but it's actually really fueled by prohibition. If we address the issues that caused by prohibitions, actually we would do a significant amount to reduce this kind of stuff unfolding in communities where teenagers are getting shot and chopped up. Like I think it was in the news there again recently, where they uncovered the body of the teenager again recently, you know. So and here we have your man Frank, like, oh, what a fucking sausage. Like, come on, Frank, have a chat with us. Come on, you're like, talk to us about drugs and drug policy and how we can improve it to protect our communities. Stop tweeting about money you're giving to the projects and buying yourself votes with public money. Do you have any shame at all? Like, really? But anyway, look, we'll drive on, because while Frank lives in his world of ignorance, do you know, other things are going on out there. So while we reported on the 1.8 million euro worth of cannabis that was seized in Cork the other day, there was a Polish man up in court today over it. And I suppose in this, like, who's the winners? Like, you know, you've the likes of Frank Fian, who's going to be able to spout on about, like, the statistics at the end of the year, when he's going to be like, oh, look at us, we're doing so good this year fighting this war on drugs. Look at all the drugs that we seized. Do you know, himself, Helen McEntee, and any other ministers out there. You like your man Padraig, or what was his name? Morris, actually. Your man Morris Quinlivan from Limerick. You know, all of these politicians who, again, like Frank Fian in the last one, they benefit from the war on drugs by going on about this stuff. Do you know, and here they have their bad guy. Do you know, this is your bad guy. Do you know, this is the bad guy. Like, this poor fella doesn't even speak fucking English. Like, do you know, he was probably some, I don't know, poor broke ass Polish guy living over in Poland, and along comes some fucking well-to-do criminal organisation, and they're like, come here, do you want a couple of grand there to drive this van over to Ireland? Yeah, man, no, not a bother. Yeah, sure. What else am I doing? Like, obviously that wasn't an English conversation. Your man can't speak it. But again, like, just highlighting the fact that this, like, while the media will portray this guy as a bad guy, he was just a vulnerable person who was taken advantage of because of prohibition. Prohibition has enabled criminal gangs to take advantage of people in his situation. Again, most likely a guy down and out in his luck. Maybe he just lost his job. Maybe he lost his job because of COVID and all the restrictions around it and all of that stuff. Like, who knows? But again, just to say, like, John, this is the bad guy, and John, he hasn't won. We haven't won as a society, because we're now going to be paying for this guy's prison sentence. But the people who have won, Frank Buttimer now is getting appointed free legal aid. And again, we as taxpayers are losing out, because we fork out for that free legal aid. The judge is getting paid. The judge is entertaining this whole court case, kind of going in, kind of justifying his earnings. So he's benefiting from the war on drugs. He's not actually really doing any good for our society, because, as I say, we're losing out here. We're paying for it, but where are we really benefiting from it? Because while they took 1.8 million worth of cannabis away, how much of that was really meant for patients? Because again, as we've been shown over the recent years, many patients have been accessing cannabis through the illegal market. So they're not winning in this. Frank Fian is winning. Helen McEntee is winning. The guards are winning. Do you know what? They're all able to show this as a success. Do you know, we're doing good. We're fighting the war on drugs. Do you know, but why do we need a war in Ireland? We shouldn't have a war in Ireland. This guy isn't a bad guy. Do you know what? The media winning this. Because the media, you know, even recently there, they had an article went up around drugs, around how COVID and the restrictions affected the drugs trade. And that article went up on Wednesday. And that's got nearly 60,000 views. So the media winning this, but again, us as a community, our citizens, we lose out because that cannabis, it could have been taxed, there could have been jobs created around that, there could have been quality assurance being provided to protect the consumers. There's so many ways in which our society is losing out. The taxes that could have been generated off of that could have been diverted back into educating people around the harms of drug use, and to be able to identify, the difference between drug use and drug abuse. There's so much there that we could be doing to really better our society, and we're constantly losing out, while the media, the Gardaí, the judges, the solicitors, like all of these people are winning and we're losing, and they will never speak out against it. Like Helen McEntee, Frank Feehan, like Frank Bottomer, Judge Sean O'Donovan, all of the Gardaí, none of these people are going to speak out about it. I had that interview there recently with Darren White, the sheriff, ex-sheriff of New Mexico, and he talks about it as, while he was in the role of being a law enforcer, he wasn't in a position to be speaking out against the laws he was enforcing, even while he was supporting a candidate, Gary Johnson, who was going to be to run for presidency later on. But Gary Johnson announced that he kind of supported the decriminalisation of all drug users. And he as a law authority kind of had to step away from him then, because he couldn't be seen to be supporting that because of his position. So again, these people who benefit from the war on drugs, puts food on their table, judges, solicitors, Frank Feehan even, because again, he's Minister for Drugs, he's benefiting from the role, but he's actually not really even engaging in it because he doesn't actually talk with us. How many of you out there have actually reached out to Frank Feehan as a drug consumer and been ignored and not being responded to, or giving any respectful response at all, outside of your generic kind of, the Misuse of Drugs Act, blah, 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 blah. The guy doesn't even read your emails. But look, you have your bad guy. Well done, guys. It's great, isn't it? Like, onwards, and, the next guy, like, how many more of these guys, like, how much, do we have to build a new prison? Is that the way we're going to go? Are we going to just continue on fighting this failed war on drugs, or are we just going to get our head out of the sand, and actually engage with this issue as adults? Because the childish way in which we're approaching it now, it's costing the lives of many young people, and it's putting so many people in harm's way, and it just really needs to change. And this is more reason why it needs to change. Above in Limerick, Gardaí have seized a machine gun, a motorcycle, and some cannabis. This was €40,000 worth of cannabis that was seized in Limerick. This was following up on investigations targeting people suspected in being involved in organised crime. So personnel attached to the Garda National Drugs Unit, Organised Crime Bureau, supported the Southern Regional Armed Support Unit, along with the Limerick Divisional Drugs and Search Unit, and the Garda Dogs Unit conducted the search. So here we have 4 units of the Guards, if I've counted correctly, possibly even more actually, but multiple members of the Gardaí going out, and what was on the site was basically a loaded machine gun which could have taken the lives of multiple members had the person been in a position to use it or crazy enough to use it. Again, like, we're very lucky here that this is the headline that it is, that it's the Gardaí seized the loaded machine gun, and it wasn't that a loaded machine gun was used on multiple Gardaí by a man protecting what was €40,000 worth of cannabis resin, a bit of hash. Do you know what I mean? Like, multiple Gardaí lose their lives because a 28-year-old man thought it appropriate to defend himself, and he's hash. Do you, like, imagine that? Like, imagine the media frenzy around that there would have been. But the media won't talk about that at all. The media won't talk about the potential that was there and the risk that was faced by our Gardaí. No, they'll talk about, be vigilant, guys, and rat out your neighbour if you see him growing an old wacky-backy plant out his back garden. They won't engage in any real honest conversation. If you want, I suppose, that honest news, that's what you're here for, the old 420 news. We keep it real and we call it as we see it. And this shit is detrimental to our society, like, and it has to be called out. It has to be called out, and the people who benefit from it have to be called out. We all know the drug dealers. The drug dealers get called out all the time. The politicians do that, but we need to call out the politicians because they benefit off of calling out the drug dealers and by looking like they're being hard on drugs. This calling out the drug dealers or being hard on the drug dealers, it's not working. That approach has failed. Any politician who takes that approach, they need to be called out. Their approach has failed and they're benefiting now on the war on drugs and this kind of abstinence-based approach. We need to be compassionate. We need to be respectful of others' views about their own bodily integrity as the what choice of substance they choose to, I don't know, would you say alter their consciousness, alter their I don't know, what's that word? Like when you get drunk, like alter yourself, like get a bit inebriated. But even when you consume a bit of cannabis, when I took a bong hit there a while ago, like I wasn't even getting a bit inebriated. I was getting enlightened, if anything. Like this is they say recreational, but I definitely would agree with. I can't remember where I heard it first, but a procreational drug. It's creational. It invokes thoughts, a creativity. It's definitely not it's definitely not a dampener to that for me anyway. I'm speaking personally anyway. But again, you know, look, I'm just thankful that we aren't reporting on this differently. I'm glad that there wasn't lives of Gardaí lost. But again, Frank Fian, how many more of these operations are going to go by where the Gardaí get lucky and they don't lose their lives? You know, this unfortunate 28-year-old with his 40 grand's worth of hash. In fairness, like, come on, like, he shouldn't, like, okay, whatever, like, he shouldn't have had the gun, like, but why did he feel the need to have a gun? Because he's involved in the illegal gun or the drugs trade, Frank. If he was doing a legitimate business, if he was an off license, like, how many owners, if he was a 28-year-old owner of an off license, how many owners of off licenses have machine guns? None, Frank. They don't, because regulation works, Frank. Criminalisation and prohibition don't. Do you know, not just Frank Helen and any other supporter of prohibition out there, guys. It's let's call him out on it. Like, we can't let him get away and benefit from this, because again, like as I said, it's a roll of the dice every time, and it's only a matter of time before that headline changes, and it is a case of a member of a Gardaí, somebody's dad, somebody's son, brother, mother, daughter, you know, whatever it might be. Another victim of a war on drugs, a war that never needed to be started in the first place. And you know, here on Wednesday there was over €100,000 worth of cannabis products seized, and this was above in the Dublin Mail Centre. And here is an image of it, and I see some familiar packaging there. Actually, I've tried some of that, the stuff in the bottom centre there. That's the Jungle Boys, if I'm correct anyway. At least it looks like their packaging. It's kind of a brand that was going around there, one of these Cali strains or something like that. Some of my buddies were picking the stuff up there at the time, but I wasn't too big on the whole Cali stuff. But I kind of recognised this. But this was detected anyway with the assistance of drug detector dogs, again above in was it Dublin? Mail Centre, yeah, Dublin Mail Centre, sent from addresses in Spain, US and Britain. So guys, if you know where your packages are coming from, listen up. So these were coming from Spain, US and Britain, and they were destined for locations in Dublin, Laois, Galway, Kerry and Sligo. So guys, condolences to you out there if you've made any investment and try to get yourself a little bit of cannabis. It has been seized and it's going to be destroyed now, unfortunately. Not before it gets sent for analysis though, you know what I mean? The boys in Forensic Science Ireland have to make their few bob on this as well, as they benefit off of the war on drugs. Yes, Forensic Science Ireland, ye benefit off of the war on drugs too. So like, you know, you're all benefactors, you all have blood in your hands. The cannabis products were labelled in parcels declared as pillows, sports shoes, custom stationery and wine tubs. A spokesperson, why didn't they just say tea bags? I don't know, maybe that's too obvious, maybe, I don't know. But how do you pass off like herbal material in an x-ray as shoes? I don't know. But anyhow, that's for them to figure out, I guess. The seizures are a part of Revenue's ongoing operations targeting the importation of illegal drugs. And yeah, you know, more wasted time here, more failed policy. But again, all this is to do is just to build up the numbers. So at the end of the year, our government can justify the swelling of the budget of our justice sector, which, as I pointed out on a previous show, it has been increasing year in, year out. Even last year, it still has increased. This year, it's increasing again. It was over 3 billion for the justice sector. I just think about 3 billion. I think the number was in a certain 3 months of 2020 anyway, there was over 22,000 arrests for drug offences. 22,000 arrests in a 3-month period. And that was in 2020, in a period when we're all supposed to be on lockdown and stuff. I think that was a 13.5% increase on the same 3 months on the previous year. I think that those 3 months were between maybe, if memory serves correct, April, May and June. But again, 22,000 people. If my numbers are correct, John O'Regan said there's about, on average, 200,000 arrests by Gardaí a year. So if we work it out, like if that average was to continue for the other 9 months of the year, by the end of the year, we will be seeing somewhere around the region of like 88,000, so say 90,000 arrests for drug offences. So if that follows in, like 200,000 arrests a year and 90,000 of it is for drug offences, so 40%, so 40% of 3 billion, like whatever the maths is there, like over €1 billion of the budget that our Gardaí spent is to deal with offences related to drug issues around the prohibition of drugs. Mad, isn't it? Like, it's mad to think, like, and meanwhile, like €108,000 worth of it here, if you slap a 20% tax on that, €20,000 for the economy. €20,000 to fix the old potholes. No pun intended, but like, imagine what we could be doing and the differences we could be making instead of sending people to prison and criminalising people and wasting money fighting a failed war on drugs. Like, mad to think, like, over €1 billion that would be used within the justice sector. Again, I'm probably wrong in that, like, it's probably a bit less maybe. I don't know how money gets diverted like that in that budget, but the budget was 3 billion. And the numbers are 200,000 arrests on average a year, about 90,000 going off of their average for 3 months of last year. That would be 90,000. So again, as I say, like, that's almost 50%, like almost 50%. So that would be nearly €1.5 billion fighting a failed war on drugs. If my numbers are correct, again, like, even if it was 1 billion, like, we don't have this money to waste anymore. We're going into some serious recessionary times. And again, there's people out there with real addiction issues and they can't get proper help because of all the stigma that goes around it. And we've people who don't have addictions. We've people who are responsible about their drug use. And we're wasting money trying to criminalise them and prevent them from being responsible adults. Come on, guys. Just let's grow up, have an adult conversation. Like, again, I'm prepared to go to prison for these beliefs. I'm on here just spouting them out because, guys, if I ever do have to go to prison again for expressing myself in the way I do and the way in which I protest and stuff, like, just start sharing this stuff. Like, guys, start making clips, just start making a little army around it because, as I said, it's a political issue. It's not criminal. It's not criminal what I'm doing. If I go to prison, it's because of what I'm saying. It's because of what I'm doing. It's not because of any criminal actions I'm doing, because I say I'm not committing criminal actions. I'm engaging in protests. I'm breaking the misuse of drugs. I'm breaking the Misuse of Drugs Act because it is an injustice. It's violating my constitutional rights. It's wrong, and it shouldn't be respected. Shout out to Martin Luther King, may he rest in peace. But he's to blame for me and my beliefs. But guys, I suppose in that, another reason why I'm here and doing this is to get the community together so we can be represented in cannabis legalization as it happens, because we have to fight against not only the politicians but the people lobbying them, and it's big tobacco at the moment that we could to be looking out for. So we've talked about this in previous shows as how big money is going to come in and buy up this, and if they do, they're not going to be in favour of policies that would see us have an ability to grow cannabis and have it freely. So again, these guys were lobbying the governments. I don't know, are these particular guys lobbying the Irish governments? But I wouldn't say why not. Sure, if they're putting 126 million to acquire this OrganiGram, which is a Canadian-based cannabis company, and that's British and American tobacco. I think that's actually the name of the tobacco company. Like, you be for sure they think there's money in this. And as I say, if you're growing some cannabis plants out your back garden, it's going to be very hard for them to sell you overpriced cannabis where they make the most money from. And you know, so we've to just be very, very mindful of this and really organise ourselves. There's been talks there lately as to getting cannabis associations going in Ireland under using our freedom of association. Sorry, guys, I'm just going to take a quick swig. Again, there's been talks lately there about using our freedom of associations, which is a constitutional right bestowed upon us, and it's inalienable. We can't, that can't be taken away from us. But it can if we allow it to, I suppose, in a sense. So we have to stand up and fight for it. So we have to form associations around the growing and the providing of cannabis for harm reduction purposes. And I suppose because of the continued ignorance of the government and the government officials to engage on this issue, they failed us. They're failing, and they're not stepping up to their duties to represent the people. You know, we go to the news that was again there on Wednesday's 420 News. 86% of people that took part on a poll here in a local radio station's Twitter poll, 3,500 people who voted in it. Like, no small number of people. Okay, like Twitter accounts, whatever. Like, but still, 86% of those people voted in favour of legalising cannabis in Ireland. That's no small number of people. Like, it is an issue that needs to be engaged with, and needs to be engaged with respectfully as adults, and none of this kind of Frank Fian's kind of hell-led approach, but we can't decriminalise it, like, you know, and that's it, enough said. Next, what's next on the agenda? Like, he's just, like, again, under the rock, like, and drugs are bad, I'm gay, and then bang, back under the rock again, like, hiding. Lads, we need to start forming these cannabis cannabis associations, form them ourselves within our own local communities. There's blueprints up online there currently. Rent out a premises, just start growing the cannabis again, run it as not for profit. Again, that has to be the most important thing within this if we're going to do this correctly. Not for profit again. That's it. We're doing it for harm reduction purposes. We're forming an association to grow cannabis and to ensure the quality of the cannabis so that we know how it's being grown, we know who's growing it, we know the supply line, like that. We're not supporting the likes of Kinnins and things like that who might use different kind of, unethical means of procuring those drugs. So yeah, like, there's so many positive reasons and rightful reasons for doing this, but again, our constitutional rights, we have to stand up and fight for those. Otherwise, you know, the government ain't going to give it to us. Do you know, and otherwise it's going to be waiting for these guys. We're going to be waiting for about like 4 or 5 years until these guys are able to grease the palm of our governments in order to put the right legislation in place to allow them to sell us our cannabis, allow it to be imported into Ireland in the first place. They don't want us to be setting up our own industries. Like, if you want to get involved in cannabis, guys, you have to get on a plane and go to, I don't know, America, Canada, Spain, possibly, if you want to get it all involved in the industry, because there's no hope for doing it here in Ireland. You see how they're treating even the CBD companies here, and what a shame that is. But yet, you know, around the world, so much money being invested in it. Like, it's crazy to fucking think, like, how much money is being invested in this. And again, you know, your man the other day, and what's his face? Jeez, yeah. Anyhow, look, I can't even think of his name. Other news there, guys, and the raids don't end, and I suppose this goes up to Northern Ireland, this one, and it is £500,000 of cannabis were seized above in Northern Ireland in the harbour. And here's the old packages of cannabis. You see them vacuum packed in here. Like a lot of cannabis again, like it's still on our Ireland, still our land, the island of Ireland up the north. So again, imagine what we could be doing here on this little island of ours in terms of having our own little cannabis industry. The potential is great. Like I think there's agreement both north and south of the border here. Like I think it's one issue that could be voted on in unison across the island of Ireland, the legalization of cannabis. But yet, both north and south of the border, the people are being denied the opportunity to have their say in this because both governments are refusing to engage in this in any meaningful way at all. Like they're completely disrespectful, very dismissal of any argument for legalizing and regulating cannabis and decriminalizing the drug user. It's mad. Like it's really mad to think like that. How childish the government politicians are when it comes to conversations around drugs. Really is. And more of it here, I suppose, as we move on into the news and we get closer to the end of today's 420 news, and we go back to Morocco. Excuse me. And where in Morocco, I was reporting, I think on Monday maybe, that they were putting it off for a while, but they actually came back to it and they voted on a bill recently. And I have the results of the vote there. I'm just going to pop them up on my screen for you guys. So yeah, the votes came back. They voted to adopt it. The votes were 13 to 21, 21 in favour of adopting a bill to legalise the production of cannabis for medicinal and therapeutic uses only. So this is the joke in this, really, and I suppose I talked about this back when I very first announced that this kind of thing was going to take place, like how much they're going to legalise it. Is it going to be good or is it going to be bad? And I think what they're doing is bad. In what they're doing is they're only legalising it for medicinal and therapeutic reasons. So people like the EMAC, the company that was on there the other day, who were bought out by this guy, Boris Johnson, owner of I don't know, was it a Canopy or one of those massive massive companies anyway. But like this guy's picture is very appropriate. Like he's pretty much laughing at us here, like, because he's going to benefit greatly off of this. He can basically go in there, buy up the cannabis that's been grown, process it into his medicinal therapeutic products, and export it. But the many farmers who've been growing and producing cannabis and providing it to the illegal trade, you know, the stuff they find its way to Amsterdam, their production is still remaining illegal. And that's not a small amount of cannabis, guys. Like it's huge that comes out of there. A 2019 report from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime identified Morocco as the world's largest producer of cannabis. The report found that Morocco produces over 3 times more than the next contender, and that was the European country Moldova. The production of cannabis increased from, get this right, 35,653 tons. So literally 35,000 tons in 2016, and that increased by over 100 tons the following year, and it continues to increase every year. In 2020, Morocco arrested 97,564 people for their alleged involvement in drug cases. The number represents a decline of 23% compared to 2019. So in 2019, they caught even more people. So obviously the measures around COVID probably had an effect over there. But man, it's mad to think like that. How many of these people providing like and growing this 35,000 tons of cannabis are going to be able to switch over now to this legal trade? How many of them are going to remain over there? Because again, like there's only so much cannabis that this guy needs. Do you know what I mean? Like he's literally going to be laughing because now he's kind of almost got a monopoly, I suppose, in a certain sense now, because he's got the companies that produce the therapeutic cannabis that is legal now in Morocco. So you see how the system is rigged, how this whole thing is almost a big scam, because like all of the drugs that they've made illegal, they're now repackaging and reselling back to us, like I'm putting on the stock market, and all of these guys in suits are profiting massively, while our politicians in suits are benefiting, saying, oh, look at us, we're being hardened drug dealers. But the same cannabis actually is being sold and traded around the world. It's a billion euro industry around the world. It's mad to think, like, it's I just think the whole thing stinks, like, it really did. Like, I think that it's just well played, well done to him, whoever it was. Like, if there was a few people who sat around the table many years ago, back when they dreamed up the whole idea of prohibition, maybe fair play to them if they did conspire to get to where they are today, and that they played the long game. Because here it is today, it's paying fucking off. Like, if you were one of these family people who supported prohibition and you positioned yourself right over the years, maybe you're a shareholder now in one of these companies. I don't know, like, I'm just saying, like, I'm just putting on the old tinfoil hat there just for the second, just for the crack, lads. Just for the crack. Like, I'm not being truly serious in what I'm saying. I'm just, just throwing it out there as a potential. Because, like, if it is the case, they have played a blinder. Because again, like, the next big thing coming out at the moment is psychedelics. So again, we see here now a headline. I just whipped this out there from a news piece that I came across, and it's Mind Med Inc. Again, another one of these kind of companies. They're being traded on the stock market, but their stock is up 937% since March of 2020. That's a massive jump there. Like, but again, you have to think about it. Like, why is there such a massive jump? Well, actually, these substances are incredibly prohibited, and if you're able to get approval to provide it to a market, well, there's an incredible demand out there for these substances. An incredible demand created by prohibition, where these kind of things have existed for so long. So many people benefiting from it. Those people who benefited from it share their stories over the years. Those stories get investigated. Research gets done. Research turns into these companies. It's crazy, like, and it's people are getting rich while other people are going to prison for the exact same stuff. It's mad to think, like, if psilocybin mushrooms that grow out in the fields can provide antidepressive properties, why can't I go out and pick them and be a responsible adult and work within the available information there and make educated decisions about what I do with my body and how I kind of treat myself and my health? Why is it that not okay, but Mind Medicine can bottle and pill, I don't know, some microdose or some macrodose form of a psychedelic and sell it to me? It's mad. We're being treated like little children. Big daddy government again here stepping in and charging us then for the privilege of what Mother Nature intended us to be getting for free. When you look at when I'm talking about psychedelics and cannabis, like, again, all of it comes from nature. It's free. Go back to the Bible, guys. And I'm not a religious guy. I'm not a Bible basher or any sorts. Like, I'm not at all supporting of that stuff. I believe in God of a sort, but not anything that's written anyway. Look, again, but within the Bible anyway, like, God gave us all of the seed bearing fruits and seed trees and whatever it says for us to use. Plants and mushrooms and all of that stuff, in between. It's all there for us to be used, but the government took it away from us, and they're selling it back to us. it's bad to think, like, and it's all the same stuff. The stuff they're selling back to us, it's no different from what you can go. It's the stuff you could probably pick in the field is probably better, to be honest, if you go to the right field. But again, we go back to it. Looking at Mexico, and the old picture up there at the moment, as you can see it, is Plantón 420, and I hope I got my pronunciation right there, but Plantón 420 is a cannabis plantation that is positioned next to the Senate buildings in Mexico. So again, here in Mexico, it's making the headlines because Mexico are set to legalise cannabis and create the world's largest legal cannabis market in a bid to smash drug cartels. Well done to Mexico. They're making feckin' sense, in fairness to them. Their politicians have their heads screwed on, and and I suppose it's no surprise that they are, because, like, Mexico have had a gruesome war on drugs over the last couple of decades. Really gruesome. Like, over 300,000 people are said to have died in the war on drugs. So it's mad to think, like, so again, that they're hoping that this will do a lot to kind of defang those cartels, I suppose, because again, they are made very powerful by the money they make from the illegal drugs trade. So again, how do you take them? How do you deal with them? You make that drug trade not illegal anymore. You tax and you regulate it so that they have to legitimize themselves, taking away their ability, like, to make so much money tax free. So well done to Mexico, like, and check out my interview with Pepe Rivera. I think it's episode 12 with Pepe Rivera, Pepe Rivera is an activist in Mexico, and I'm hoping to maybe follow up with him very soon to get his opinion on this again, because it seems like the bill that they're looking to pass here again, it kind of is a bit discriminatory, because it's only allowing up to the possession of up to an ounce of cannabis and things like that. There's a couple of issues in there. You're only allowed to grow 6 plants, and I know he had an issue with that at the time when he was talking to me, saying, why they're treating us like second-class citizens. They're treating us like we can't be responsible. They don't trust us. Why can I only grow 6 plants? If I grow 7, are you trying to say I'm a criminal again because I'm going to start selling it now? If I have more than an ounce when I'm walking down the road, do you think I'm going to go and, like, am I engaging in drugs crime? We don't treat people who buy alcohol that way. So why do we treat people like cannabis? And that was kind of his views, and I would very much agree with him there as well, that it would be discrimination to have something like that there, to limit a person's ability to possess cannabis, because we don't do it with alcohol. Imagine you go to the off license and you're only allowed to buy 1 naggin, and that if you want 2, there has to be 2 of you there, and they scan your ID, and you can't go to any other off licenses either. And if the guards catch you with 2 naggins and there's only 1 of you there, they're going to criminalise you for it. Like, imagine we done that. Like, it would be stupid, wouldn't it? Why do we do it with cannabis? Why would we accept it? There's just to think of the elephant and the chain. The elephant, and he's chained down to the ground for so long, and you pull the chain out of the ground, you detach the elephant from it, but he won't move away from it, because mentally he has been broken to be, being confined to that. And I think that's kind of a part of it. I think that would be reflected if we were to accept this restriction, that we're only allowed have an ounce of cannabis, we're only allowed grow 4 plants or 6 plants, whatever it might be. I would welcome it, but I don't expect me to say thanks. No. We're still a conversation to be had here, because I still feel discriminated against, because that guy can walk in and buy so much more harmful drugs, alcohol and tobacco and anything else, sugar, salt even, you know what I mean? Salt is deadly in the right amount, and we don't restrict a person's ability to go buy that, but we do it with cannabis. Come on, like, no. So anyway, guys, the background of this is basically in November 2015, the Mexican Supreme Court ruled that the prohibiting people using cannabis for personal use was unconstitutional. Again, guys, there's a theme here emerging. Like, that's how the Spanish won their right to grow again, is based on their constitution. You need to fight for it. We have to step up and fight for it. Check out that interview. Pepe Rivera drops a good bit of knowledge within it, like, and I really like his approach, and I'm going to try to replicate it very soon. But 2 years later, legislation and legalization of medicinal cannabis was signed into law. Then in October 2018, the Supreme Court ruled that the ban on the recreational use of cannabis was unconstitutional again, and ordered the legislator to take action. It initially set a deadline of 90 days to implement the decision, but that deadline has been extended multiple times. But the deadline has now been extended to April 30th this year, so hopefully they meet it, and it looks likely that they will, with President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, whose party strongly backs the proposal, and they're expected to sign this bill into place very soon. And I suppose, like, this is a very big deal as well, for us and for the rest of the world, because basically what this was going to do is it's going to pin America between now 2 massive markets of cannabis retail, I suppose, because if Mexico do it, it's Mexico and Canada now, which are massive markets. So in Canada, I believe the numbers are 37.6 million people, and in Mexico is 130 million people. So like that's a massive amount of people there. Like that's a massive market for cannabis. So basically, by sandwiching America in between these two markets, it's really going to put the pressure on Biden to do something, because these guys are going to innovate and take off, and they're going to benefit from this changing of the way in which we kind of deal with cannabis anyway, at least, because it's only going to be good for society and the economy. It's going to create jobs, and the people who do it first are going to be the people who benefit off it the most, because they're going to be the ones who excel the most. So Frank Fee and Helen McEntee and any other minister out there, do you know, guys, this is a great opportunity for Ireland to kind of step up to the plate and, do you know, really do right by our people, because you'd be failing them otherwise. Like young people getting killed on our streets, being dismembered, guys, we can't stand over these policies any longer. Like, they failed, and it's time for change. It really is. So that is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's 420 news, guys. Sorry for not getting through your comments there as we went through. I see so many comments coming in, guys, and much appreciated. I'm going to get a little cover box put up here very soon, so you can see your comments a bit more clearly. I'm just going to go scroll back up through them and start going down. Miss Dowes, I must say shout out to yourself, man, and thanks very much for the old super chat there. Happy high day, everyone, and happy high day to yourself, man. I hope you're doing very good out there. Again, it's always incredible to get that kind of support with coming in, guys, so thanks very much as always. I see other comments coming in there as well. John Dowd says the Gardaí love a bit of smoke. They do, yeah. They love tweeting about it anyway. They tweet about it more than the stoners. Do you know, in fairness, like if the guards get a bit of weed, like they love to put it up. Like if I get a bit of weed, the first place I put it is me bong. Like I don't really even think about putting it on social media. But the guards, they definitely do love to put the weed up on social media. A lot more than the stoners anyway. Edward Stewart says house market crash is nothing compared to what is coming after this virus. Yeah, I think that I'm thinking there's something coming. All right, like there's definitely going to be a bump caused economically, globally, because of this, and I think we could lessen that bump anyway by allowing people access to cannabis. You know, it'll chill people out anyway, if anything, like while stuff goes to shit all around them, like, you know, while banks go bust and economies go bust. If people got weed, like, at least they'll be chilled. I know I would anyway. 22,000 people died from drugs in 2005 in America, and that's gone up to 100,000 plus. Seems like the current system of disregarding drug takers isn't working, and still Big Pharma can make and advertise. Yeah, man, it's crazy what goes on over in America, actually, around the advertisements of the drug producers. Do you know, literally, like, do you suffer from sleep, energy, blah, 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 and they list off like 30 things. And it's like, yeah, surely it's like fishing, like, do you know what I mean? But like casting out 20 fucking rods, do you know? You're bound to get a bite on one of them, like, and it's like, ask your doctor. Mad, like, and a lot of those deaths that you talk about there in America, like, many of them come from prescription drugs, and many of those prescription drug deaths actually are people accidental overdose deaths, basically taking what was prescribed to them. That happens because, again, these drugs doctors prescribe are dangerous too. People can have a bad reaction to them, much like some individual can, like, be sensitive to cannabis and have a bit of a freak out, I suppose, if it's their first time and they get a bit too high and they're just too sensitive. Michael Lane says painkillers that killed hundreds of thousands of people, and these companies should be liable for assisted suicide. Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, they should definitely be liable, I suppose, in a certain sense of maybe what they done in Canada anyway, where the guys were supposed to be getting criminalised. I think he's out now at the moment around the gaff because of the whole COVID thing. They weren't able to lock him up. But yeah, I think that guy is getting criminalised because what he did is he basically incentivized the reps to go out to the doctors and entice the doctors to prescribe and overprescribe this medication to people who didn't actually even need it. So yeah, certainly those kind of people and who do that kind of stuff need to be criminalised. Yeah, most certainly. Other stuff coming in there, other comments coming in. Maybe if we do a Tegri's farm job and make a Christmas special, the Gardaí might leave us alone. Yeah, definitely. But again, like they go back to it. If we're going to do the cannabis associations and grow our own cannabis, guys, just follow the Spanish, like, and we're going to fight it in court. Just be prepared to get raided and go to court and fight for your rights. That's all I said. Just be prepared. Like, there's very good blueprints out there. Follow the model. Ensure it's non-profit. Ensure it's orientated around being for harm reduction, quality assurance, protecting the consumer. Ensure you're doing it for all those reasons, and that you're going to have a more positive time. The public is going to be more able to support you because you're not for profit. You're not a criminal enterprise. You're trying to get away from all of that stuff. You're being responsible citizens by setting up an association like this and fighting for your right for freedom of association. And again, freedom of bodily integrity, freedom of liberty. It's so many freedoms being taken away, so many of your constitutional rights that they're not allowed to be taken away, and you have to step up and fight for them, but to be taken back now that they've been taken for so long. Some companies we've blatantly given unlimited trust without freedoms and vaccines on top of it. Yeah, guys, that's crazy. All right, like we heard for so long around cannabis. Like, for how many years now are we hearing about cannabis? Like, there's not enough evidence. There's not enough evidence. We can't prescribe it. We can't prescribe it. And then comes COVID. Something that affects, like, it's look, I'm not even going to get into the numbers around how many people get affected and die and all blah 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 blah. But effectively, like, vaccine. Oh yeah, let's get her out there en masse to the population in a pretty untested manner. That's okay. But this plant that provides so much pain relief, so much assistance to people who suffer from all sorts of symptoms, from multiple conditions, that's not allowed because there's not enough evidence for that. Although it's been used for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, like literally thousands of years. I'm not lying, like. It's mad, like, and the vaccine is okay, but the cannabis is not. Like, it's crazy to think, like, let me grow my cannabis, like, let me grow. Stop trying to put me behind bars because I want to grow a fucking plant. Like, I'm very much thinking of pitching a tent very soon down outside a city hall or something and just start growing plants and joining Pepe Rivera and staging a little cannabis plantation. What is this? Almost less than 6 weeks now to 420, so maybe by 420 we might have a half decent cannabis plant. I might bring one down that's half grown already. Start with a head start. But we have to protest, guys. We really do. We have to stand up for our rights, because if we don't, they're not going to give them back to us. Like, what government, when they've been given a power, give it back? Well, here you go, guys. Here's this power back. Here's this freedom back that we've taken away from you. They're not going to do it unless you fight for it and demand it, and I mean really demand it. Ping Pong says, where is Luke Mink Flanagan gone? Baby, come back. He was on a talk there the other night, a few weeks ago, with Gino Kenny, so hopefully we see a bit more of him. It'll be great to hear his voice and to be representing cannabis a bit more. But yeah, he has been very quiet for many years around the issue of cannabis. All right, he's been dealing with other things, but this is certainly something that needs to be really dealt with now, because this is just going on for way too long. Like, too many people are suffering because of this shit. Like, Michael Lane says, Yuppa, the EU has suppressed Ireland to be a puppet state with docile people, and people who break the law are usually creative, so arresting people for petty crimes is just wasting individuality. So true, man. So fucking true. I know many people out there, like, who would love to try cannabis, but they're worried about it. I know one or two people in the army or in different jobs there in kind of that they get drug tested, and they're worried that even to go to Canada or to Amsterdam Like they won't even go to Amsterdam, places where it's tolerated or legal, because when they come home, they would need to nearly take, like one of them said, like I'd have to take a month off. I'd be too worried if I came back, and if they knew I went to Amsterdam, they might drug test me. Literally, like, people are terrified, literally, just to explore their themselves, like, just to experience what life has to offer. Literally, what life has to offer, what nature is intended for us to enjoy. It is what being human is kind of all about, is just, just the exploration of life. All of these kind of different things, even, I don't know, all sorts of things we do. It alters our consciousness in a certain way, whether it be even just going for running, or achieving something, practicing, learning a guitar. That's triggering neurochemistry. That's triggering, like, drug rewards within our own brain, and we feed off of that stuff. Like, that's what being human is all about. And to deprive people plants and mushrooms and other things like that, it's wrong. It's anti-human. It's what it is. And let's take a stand, guys. And a nice one there to Bitcoin. Our knowledge is, or no, Bitcoin is power, actually. Bitcoin is power. And Jamie Power there, shout out to the powers that be. Jamie Power and Bitcoin is power. Or yeah, Bitcoin is power. The two lads just super chatted in 420. So much respect there, lads. Really do appreciate that support to the show. It doesn't go unnoticed, guys. Thanks again. Jamie says, keep it up, Marty. Fair play. And Bitcoin is power. Why wait for government when you can just grow it? Exactly. Why wait? Because, we have been waiting. We've been very nice now all along. We really have been very patient. We can't say we haven't. As I said, the 1990s is when this kind of whole campaign originated, for me anyway, at least, is what I'm aware of. I don't, it's probably earlier than that, maybe, but 1990s is what I know of the start of the cannabis legalization campaign. 31 years later, here we are still, time for niceties is over. And I'm quoting somebody there, and shout out to Garrett McGovern. But he said it in a different context, I suppose. But so, yeah, but definitely the time for niceties is over, and the way I see it is, we just as, yeah, Bitcoin is power is saying, why wait? Just grow it. Let's overgrow the government, guys. They can't lock us all up. Fergray says, it's a shame. At least I can say I'm the cannabis industry in Ireland. Keep it homegrown. Go on, Ferg. And Ferg is owner of Cork Herbal Products. So shout out to Cork Herbal Products. I know he's fighting his own battle there by being suppressed on Facebook and stuff like that, and getting his business up and running. So well done, Ferg. Much respect there for you for keep doing what you're doing, man. Michael Lane says, we live in a dictatorial meritocracy. Basically, educated doctors tell us how to live and advise our government on how they should control us. Yeah, you're dead right, man. And there were some internal communications there within NFET, or whatever they're called here in Ireland, as to how they need to scare us more in order to make sure we follow the guidelines, because we're more obedient if we're scared. It's gas. Yeah, it really is. It's gas stuff, guys. Like that. There was people last year who really did seem a bit crazy, talking about what has come to reality today. It is mad. Like, how long more are we going to take this stuff? Like, I'm getting I'm not getting completely ridiculed, but I haven't been widely accepted for my announcement of a protest on the 20th of April for the cannabis legalization. Although I've been like, oh yeah, let's adhere to health guidelines. I'm not saying come out and everybody kiss and spread COVID. Like, that's not the protest. Like, the protest is the fight for cannabis legalization, is as I say a while ago, to stop putting the lives of our Gardaí on the line, in instances like this. This is what we're fighting for. So we do need to go out and protest. So yeah, let's do that. Let's get out and protest. Sorry, I was probably making a point there, but I got a bit distracted by looking for that fucking headline. Joe Harnett says, in Canada they named the cannabis clubs compassion societies. Call them what you will, guys. For me, I like to stick with the association because it is what you're fighting for. Your right to an association. So that's kind of why I'm choosing that. It's what the wording of our constitution is. So just try to keep it close to that. But definitely, guys, copy whatever model you will. I think the Spanish have good models. I think there's NCOD is another organization out there that has a blueprint for how to set up and run one of these associations. So I will start sharing links around this stuff, and I will start working on a document of my own that I'll start circulating as well. So yeah, that'll be worked on. It won't be a document of my own. It'll be a document of a group, hopefully that we're kind of conversing within. But we see what happens there anyway. CamZHD says, the amount of synthetic cannabinoids going around since lockdown is sickening. They are very dangerous and addictive, another problem created by prohibition. Yeah, I would agree with you, man. I'm hearing people say that they're getting stuff now that's giving them headaches. It's making them feel really, really stoned, I suppose, but it's giving them headaches also. Something they're not used to, and I'm questioning now maybe the quality of their source and what they're getting. Maybe they're getting one of these kind of sprayed kind of cannabis stuff, to make it seem like it's stronger. It is quite potential again in a market such as ours. Again to re-emphasize, grow your own, guys. Form your associations. Fight for your rights, guys. Stand up for yourselves, because if you don't, if we all go in with the same message, if we all go in with the same document, if we all go in and represent, they can't lock us all up. They can't lock us all up. Really, then truly they can't. And if they do, well, I look forward to being in a prison with you all, guys, because it'll be really cool prison, because I imagine you're a bunch of cool people out there, because a lot of the people I've met who grow their own cannabis are some really cool people, like, that they're very interesting, and they're ballsy and all of that, like, so, yeah, I haven't met a dickhead who grows his own cannabis yet, yeah, just to say that. Man Falls, yeah, shout out to Man Falls there on Twitch, man. Yeah, a lot of what I said today is fucked up, alright, man. I don't know what you're on about specifically there, but yeah, a lot of it is. Cock Driller says, calling it a cannabis club would get it rated fairly quick, like, yeah, it would, definitely, but calling it a cannabis association, then, that's not bad. A cannabis association. You can form associations, like, and you can have legit reasons for forming your associations. And the government shouldn't be able to intervene there. And you can register your association too with your local council. So do keep that in mind. It is an avenue to go, and you can form your association just as a general interest club, and you can just secretly do your growing then in the background and keep those documents secret. But do form it, legitimize it, like, and formalize, definitely, guys. And let's start fighting for this right to grow, because otherwise, the people who are going to win in this is these guys. Do we want fucking these guys winning out? Do we want these guys to be selling us our cannabis? I think not. I really do not. I know some really passionate people out there about cannabis and cannabis growing, and I much rather get my cannabis from them. Martin O'Brien being one of them, over there in Foxworthy Farms. A Cork man himself, over in America, growing his own cannabis, like, and very passionate about what he does. I would love to taste his product. I can't wait to taste his product someday, but I definitely don't want to be getting these guys. Excuse me. All these guys want to do is buy up the likes of Martin O'Brien, like, and make Martin O'Brien fall in and follow their kind of cost-efficient ways of doing things that basically sucks the life and soul out of any industry. So again, we need to rise up above this stuff, guys, because if we do not rise up, this stuff is always going to be above us, because look at it, there it is, it's doing its thing. What are we doing, guys? We're all picking battles, like, no, Martin, don't go out and protest, Martin, it doesn't look right, Martin, guys, don't grow a load of cannabis together, guys, because you're going to look like a cannabis factory, like, fuck off, like, yes, we will stand up for our rights, and we will protest, and we will grow our own cannabis, like. Sorry for all the expletives. My apologies, guys. I get a bit wound up. It's Friday. I am Toby says, fuck me, they don't even look like hash plants. They're so big. Mustawa says, at Martin's World, we should look at starting a cannabis religion in Ireland. They are protected by constitution and spend years getting all sorts of special protections, similar to Rastafarianism. Guys, that's been tried and tested. There is one out there, the European Cannabis Church, I believe. Apologies there, guys. The European Cannabis Church, I believe, is currently out there and active. I think there's some chapters in Ireland. But again, like, yeah, by all means, definitely take whatever angle you want with this. Like, set up your church, and in your church, you grow your own cannabis. Because it's your sacrament of choice, guys. If that's the way you want to go, 100% I support that idea. So if you feel ballsy enough to go for either of those ideas, you're right for freedom of association, or your right to religious your right to religion. Go for it. Either is fine with me, guys, because both are valid. I think no one has a right to tell you it's not really. Man, there's so many comments baiting in there, guys, and we're over an hour into the stream. Happy days. Fergus says, you should do a special on different strains, give the uneducated an education on different strains and effects of those strains. Maybe just a thought. 100%, man, I would love to start doing that. I'm just not spoilt for choice at the moment. I could start doing something, alright, maybe using infographics rather than actually having the cannabis here. It would be much better if I had the cannabis here and to say, oh, this is Candy Kush and this is Lemon OG and this is Chocolate and, and to be tasting it on air with you and vaping it and what have you. But yeah, maybe in the coming future, there's certainly, there's been talks there at the moment around setting up a cannabis broadcast network to add to fill in times that's not currently occupied. We have High on Homegrown podcast, another one. We have myself and there's other kind of podcasts out there that are like cannabis activist podcasts, is how we see it. So we're thinking of maybe forming a cannabis broadcast network and having a dedicated channel where we all have our own time slots and there's just continuously shows going on. So just to kind of grow the network of people and feeding to the other shows and grow our own audiences by sharing, I suppose. So that's definitely been talked about as well, guys. So yeah, onwards and upwards we go. We're growing all the time in more ways than one. So hey, shout out to you know who you are. Jenny Macmac, happy shout out there to Jenny Macmac. Says signed it Wednesday night, I believe, and I think that was Mexico. If you're talking about there. Or was it Morocco? I think it was when you're around about Mexico there. Keith Griffin says, keep her lit, Martin, bro. I will indeed, man. I'm going to keep her lit right now. Kitmar says, what pisses me off the most is that Ireland always waits for other countries to do stuff. Why can't Ireland set an example for EU and the rest of the world? Well, Kitmar, I'm here to tell you, we can. We just need to stand up and fight for that. We need to stand up and fight for that position, because the government are not just going to invite us into that position. No. That's up to us. It's up to us to determine how long it's going to take. If we want to wait around for people like Gino Kenny and for the changing of the guard in the government, because currently his bill doesn't look like it's going to get the support it needs, and that he's happy with waiting around for another 5 years. If you're all happy with that, guys, then fair play to you. You know, you've more patience than me. I'm not, guys. I'm going to be out there fighting tooth and nail to speed this up. Whether it be Gino's bill or some other bill, but this needs to get done. And again, it comes down to us, the people. It's up to us, and we'll determine how long it's going to take. So sitting at home, starting Twitter storms and all of this stuff, it's great and all of that, like, but really what changes things is people on the street, feet on the street. You know, that's really going to send a message to the government, because they've ignored all our other campaigns. They really have. They've ignored them. And I mean a really strong one. Not just people on the street, but people on the street engaged in civil disobedience openly and having it highlighted in the media, because we're now our own media. Hey. Mustawa says, Ming is on High and Homegrown this Sunday, and he is indeed, guys. Again, shout out to the High and Homegrown podcast crew, guys. They got the pleasure of interviewing Ming, I believe, last week, and they're airing that now on Sunday at 9 p.m. over on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So do check that out. I'll be there myself anyway watching, so I look forward to it and what they talk about. I hope that they ask Ming about like when's the last time he smoked, how often he smokes, and all of that stuff, because they're definitely things I would love to see what the crack is. Has he remained off of cannabis since he said he gave it up all those years ago when he was campaigning for government? I don't know. So yeah, let's see. We look forward to it anyway. Yeah, David Burke says, good man, Martin. Appreciate your energy and work for the cause. Respect and wash the hands. Get on, kid. Nice one, man. Or maybe wash hands as an emoji. Maybe there was supposed to be an emoji in there and I wasn't supposed to read that. Gabberhead says, on the kid. Oh, kid. Jamie Power says, the old Java is a bit of crack at I am Toby. So yeah, they're the boys are conversing there actually. Gabberhead says it's time for Nancy Reagan to go now out of the country. 100%, man. We can't let Frank Fionn get away with this just say no approach. It's time for us to change it to just say no, as in KNOW. Know about your drugs and make educated decisions about whether or not you're going to consume it, and if you do, be able to identify abuse or responsible use. John O'Regan says, in a life of hardship and of earthly toil, there's a need for anything that frees us. So I bid you pleasure and I bid you cheer, from a heathen and a pagan on the side of the rebel Jesus. And that's a quote from Jackson Brown. Mastawez says, the kiss and hug protest is the week after. Yes, I didn't know about the kiss and hug protest. I'm going to see if the old Al will go down with me. Bitcoin is power says, April is 20 in every country. All it takes is one. Again, guys, not just every county, but I would say every town, village and city around Ireland, because there is not a town, city or village in Ireland that I think does not have a cannabis consumer. I don't think there's a village out there where a person can say, I'm the only consumer in the village, you know, because cannabis consumers are everywhere. They're closeted in every community out there. So definitely, guys, get out there, be represented. April 20th is just one day of the year that we need to get out there and stand up. So get out and host your own event. And get your photos and make it, and then translate that back online afterwards. Francis Carlin says, if we all stick to guidelines and wear masks, we should be okay. We are protesting again 420 and not COVID freedom, and just keep the peace. Again, guys, it has nothing to do with the lockdown. It has nothing to do with the coronavirus. This is entirely to do with cannabis and cannabis alone, cannabis prohibition. That's what 420 is about. It's the kind of the national holiday of the cannabis community, as you all well know, hence 420 news. So again, like, that's what it's about. We're out there representing, standing up for ourselves. It's pretty much our gay pride day, you know, and gay pride turned from a gay day to a gay week to a gay month. How long more until we kind of have the same kind of recognition or respect, I suppose, within the society? Because again, did the gays get it? Did the government just turn around and say, here you go, gays, here's your rights back? Did they? No, they didn't, guys. The gays fought for their rights. The gay community stood up for and were represented. They weren't scared. A lot of them were, but many of them weren't. And those people who did step up and were represented, look where they are now today, thanks to them. Incredible, like what you're able to achieve. And as Bitcoin as power says, like, it only takes one. Every movement was started with one, like, you know, it was one person who said enough is enough. Whether that person achieved it or not, that person might have implanted a seed in another two people's heads, and it was those people who achieved it. You know, or those people went out actually with that seed and they planted more seed in others' heads, like, you know what I mean? But it starts with one, guys. The power of one is not to be underestimated. More comments, guys. Sorry, there's so many comments in there, guys. Shout out to everybody who has commented. I'm just scrolling down through loads of them. Teresa's saying it's fucking scary what they're doing, hon, in terms of restrictions. The year most conspiracies came true. You're not wrong there, I'd say. Um, John Finnegan says, we will start our own grow inside prison. Exactly, guys. Do you know what I mean? Just start sneaking in hemp seeds. Start requesting raw hemp seeds as part of your diet. And then we start sprouting them. Do you know? It's just like the lads and they're brewing the old hooch. And brewing the hooch down the back of the jacks. Bitcoiners Power is saying an association can be as big or as small as you like, even if it's one mate in a circle growing for the rest. What you agree is up to yourself, but be prepared, and the worst case, they take your plants. Exactly, guys. Do you know, thinking of, is it the Braveheart movie, you know, like, that meme kind of, they can take our whatever, they can take our plants, but they can never take our freedoms, they can't take us, as long as we continue to fight for our liberties, like, that's what they can take away. They can't take away that passion or the belief that what we're doing is right. They can never take that away from us. Like, they can lock us up and everything, but as long as we just stay firm in our beliefs that, we can stand for something. But yeah, as Bitcoiners Power is saying there, guys, just again, if you do go and form one of these associations, again, it has to be done where you are ready to go to court, because you have to be prepared for the inevitability that it might be raided. It has to be prepared for. And everybody needs to go, where we go one, we all go all. And I'm not a conspiracy nut, but it's kind of a catchy little slogan that they had. But essentially, if, as Bitcoiners Power pointed out there, if it's one person growing and he's growing and providing for 5 other people, well, if that grower gets caught, all 6 of them need to go to court. All 6 of them need to show up and say, this is our association. We are the growers here. This is our association. It is not that growers. That person was a grower for this association. The cannabis is owned by the association. And together, guys, power in numbers. No, it's not one cannabis grower getting locked up. It's an association, and that one had 6. The next one had 20. Ah, shit, this one has 40. Oh, my God, I can imagine, you know what I mean? Your man, Judge Sean O'Donovan, like, and he has 50 people in the courtroom, and he's just like, he's a bit outnumbered, isn't he? It's an associate, like, guys, like, we have power, guys. We can really overgrow the government here again with our power in numbers. It starts with one, it only needs one person to grow for 4 people. That's a nice little association there for yourselves, guys. Draw out the formalities. I'll put up documents there again in a minute for you guys, but again, a quick Google search and you'll find some of the stuff that's up there already. NCOD is one association that has good documents to look at. But guys, we have to do this. Why wait? Why wait 5 years? 5 years. Have you got 5 years? I'm not patient enough for 5 years anyway. Like, so my protest is escalating very soon. Ken Green says it's a constitutional right to practice your religion freely as long as it falls in line with the law. Yeah, it's as long as it falls in line with the law. Yeah, so the law. Like, what is the law? Define the law. I don't know, like, is this act the Misuse of Drugs Act? I think it was enacted by a bunch of corrupt people and it's invalid anymore. Like, it's not really valid. Where's the justification for it? But yeah, like, again, it's up to ourselves to fight for it and argue it in court. No doubt the law will support the law and say, no, you're breaking the law, and but it's up to us to stand up for your rights. Again, if more and more people stand up for it, it's going to be very hard for the law to keep punishing us for standing up for our rights. Something's going to break. Teresa says he smokes every chance he gets. John Finnegan says, loved your interview with the ex-sheriff. Sorry, he smokes every chance he gets. That's in reference, actually, to our buddy Ming. And I believe maybe you're more close, more well acquainted with Ming than I am. So hopefully that's coming from a knowledgeable place there, and you're not spreading rumors, Teresa. But I'm happy to hear that. Like, it's good to hear. John Finnegan anyway says, loved your interview with the ex-sheriff. Hope he comes to Ireland. Nina is just down the road from. I'd love to meet him and have a chat. Happy days. Yeah, it'd be good to have him over. Maybe we might get him over as part of a tour there at some stage. Who knows what might happen. John Finnegan, one stone can cause 1,000 ripples. Boom, there you go, man. That's a good that's a good way of thinking of it. John Stone says, have you been raided yourself? John, I have not been raided myself, touch wood, and I hope I can say that for many, many years to come. But look, if it happens, it happens. But have I had my life invaded? Yes, I've had my car invaded. Is that, I don't know, does that compare? It's certainly fucking traumatic. Like, it certainly upset me. I wasn't happy about it. Like, I certainly felt violated afterwards. But can I compare it to having your home raided? I suppose it doesn't really compare in total. But certainly nonetheless a violation of your privacy is a violation of your privacy. So yeah, like it's messed up. Like it really is fucking messed up. I am Toby says a signal group chat with ID and proof of cannabis. There's any rats. Yeah, exactly. I started small, like, and just spread it by word of mouth. And again, like, if you don't know of any association, just start your own one. Like, surely you know of 3 buddies that you can trust. You and 3 friends. Surely you can put away €50 a week there for a couple of weeks. And, like, before you know it, you have a little fund there that you can kind of, I don't know, one of your houses, set up a little grow, or maybe rent out a little space and grow it there. Who knows? But whatever the case might be, just start small and keep it non-profit. It's not the motive to do this is quality cannabis, lots of it, for as little a price as possible, I suppose, really, because the more efficient you are with your growing, the better. Other comments coming in. Owen Fitz says that I'm a law student, and the first thing I was taught was that law follows the society. The government should be enacting laws to protect those who smoke. Ireland, EU will be left behind if we don't follow. There you go, man. That's a very interesting thing. I'd love to hear more from law students like yourself out there on this, on these issues, because I suppose yourselves, you're being taught this stuff. You're being educated about this in college. So your views would be very interesting on this. And as you're saying, like, the first thing you're being taught is that law follows society. So I suppose what I'm hearing there is kind of going back to what Bitcoin is power is saying is, why wait for the government? It's kind of like, do what we're doing first, and look, law will just follow the society. It's really dragging its feet at the moment. Like, but if we really step up now to the plate and really push, I mean it now, force the hand of the government in a peaceful manner, then the law has to follow society. It really does. So again, that's what I'm hearing from what you're saying there. I could be misinterpreting it, just to find my own meaning from it. But nice one for your input in today's show. Anyway, it's much appreciated. Jacob Sutton says, are you buying any Bitcoin, Martin? I bought some before to buy some cannabis and hash. Man, I got ripped off actually for €600 before for fucking hash. It was a bummer. Dude never sent it, cunt. But yeah, that was the only time I ever bought it. I'm not investing in it or holding in it, but people have sent it to me in donations to the show. And that has increased in value since people sent it to me. One donation that was sent in there has nearly tripled in its value, which was amazing. So happy days. As I say, I am intending to use that money very soon to acquire a premises temporarily to host a show, to bring people in, to have more work being done, to have the cannabis activists of Cork brought together, the cannabis activists of Ireland brought together, the people who want to fight for drug policy reform brought together, because we do need a space where we can come and meet and socialise. So I will be using it for that. Yeah, Guys, thanks very much for lack of wanting to waffle on any further. Thanks very much for everybody's input. Keita saying another great stream, bro. Keep her lit. Thanks very much, everybody. It's been much appreciated to have everybody out there. I hope you've enjoyed today's stream. Apologies if I did waffle on a bit too long there afterwards. I just said as you took the time to do the comments, I would take the time to get through them. I was a bit late there getting into this afternoon's to this afternoon's show. So guys, I'll leave you be. I'll leave you enjoy your weekend. As I say, guys, don't forget about your mothers. Mother's Day is Sunday. I hope you enjoy it. I will be releasing an interview that I've done there with JP. I done it there about a week or so ago, about Tuesday week, I think I done it. So I will be releasing that there. JP of Little Collins. I'll be releasing that there maybe tomorrow at some stage. I just have to get it through the old editor. So yeah, that's all you can expect from myself. Also, guys, just to give you a heads up, I most likely won't be out with 420 news on Monday. I just have a mountain of college work. I just want to get some MCQs done and things like that. I'll do an episode on Wednesday, and I'll take a break again on Friday. So next Monday and Wednesday, I will take a break from doing a 420 news, just to give you a heads up on that. So I will be back again next Wednesday, guys, at 4:20. So I do look forward to being back here again with you next Wednesday. I think that's Paddy's Day as well. Actually, is it next Wednesday? It is, I think, isn't it? Yeah, I think next Wednesday is Paddy's Day. So yeah, I'll be back on Paddy's Day, guys, with you for an old Paddy's Day special, and we keep it nice and green, will we? Keep it green for Paddy's Day. So guys, until then, keep it lit and stay blazed. Have a lovely weekend. Much love to you all. Peace.